Welcome everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to our Lunch and Learn series of webinars on transformational feedback, where today we're on module number 3 of 4, which means there's one more session next week at the same time, same channel. And today's topic specifically is actually delivering your feedback following the BIFF model. So as always, I encourage your participation. You can put your questions or comments into the chat box, please. You can unmute yourself. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of time at the end for any Q&A as we go through as well. So I do have some slides for you. Let's take a look, see. Oh, and some music. So if you remember, if you haven't been able to join us on the first 2 modules, then take a look at our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see the recordings right there. I do strongly recommend you take a look at these first 2 modules because they're very important on the lead up to today's module, right? Module numbers 1 was all about being open to receive feedback yourself. How on earth can we deliver good feedback if we can't receive it ourselves? And so module number 1 talks all about that, where you discover the 4D framework. Then we had module number 2, which was following the INSPIRE principles in order for you to get ready to deliver your feedback. And again, take a look at that as the name suggests, INSPIRE principles. The purpose of you giving feedback is to inspire and support the improvement of the other person, whether it is performance or behavior. You want them to improve. So feedback should be seen as a gift. And if you follow these processes during these 4 modules, you will be able to rebrand feedback to be a positive experience inside of your organization, or at the very least, inside your team, those people that you're communicating with on a regular basis. That brings us to today. Delivering the transformational feedback, we're going to discover the BIFF model, which is a step-by-step process on how to do it without all of that emotion. Oh, emotion feedback. Oh, no. No. We're beyond that. So we're going to learn this framework to be able to do that effectively. And our next week's session is very important, guys, too. So if you haven't blocked your calendar yet, please go ahead and do so, because, you know, getting ready for the feedback, delivering the feedback, that's good. And you do need to have a follow-up process to support the transformation of the other person. So that's next week. Here we are today. Let's discover the BIFF model together. Delivering the transformational feedback. So you're open to receive it. We've already done that. You've prepared for the feedback with your INSPIRE principles. Now it's time to have that conversation. So B stands for behavior. I is the impact, right? So what behavior is it that person is doing or not doing? And then what impact is that having on you, on the business, on the team, or on your customers? And very importantly here, the B and the I, the behavior and the impact, it's based on fact and data. It's based on observed behavior. It's not based on gossip, right? It's not based on your feeling at this moment in time. No, as much as possible, you want to keep it based in fact and data. Then at this point, though, you are able to share and express how it makes you feel. Now, most feedback is a train wreck because the person delivering the feedback often starts delivering the feedback in a highly emotionally charged kind of state. So, and that often happens because we should deliver the feedback and we don't. We come up with all of these super creative excuses not to deliver the feedback. And so time goes past and then that behavior is shown again, and we should give that feedback and we don't. And then it happens again. We should give it And we don't. So what happens is all this little anger and frustration builds up in us. And then one day they do that same behavior, that one that pushes your buttons, and you snap, right? Because you've let it build up. You haven't delivered the feedback when it was a small little, snowflake. Now it's a big snowball and it's out of control and it's running down that hill and it's going to take everyone with it. So what happens is you snap, you get angry or frustrated and you say, right, come into my office now. And then you start to deliver the feedback. Well, clearly, when you're in that emotional state of anger or frustration or something similar, and you're trying to deliver this transformational feedback, because of your anger and your frustration, the other person instantly goes into survival mode. Or said another way, they get into defensive mode. They're ready to defend themselves because you're coming at them like this, blah, 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 blah. And that's not a mature adult conversation. So no, you need to make sure that you've maintained your emotional intelligence. You've got to work on being open to receive it. You've prepared for it, and you start with the behavior and impact. Then at this point, in the third step, you can express how it makes you feel, frustrated, angry, and so on. And then we wrap it up with the final F, which is future. So at this point, especially for those interested in coaching, and I know that many of you are on the call today who are interested in coaching, this is where you get to practice your coaching, right? This is where you get to put your coaching hat on and have a coaching conversation with that person on their intended actions to improve their performance or behavior. All right. So let's dive down a little bit deeper now and take a look. Behavior. What unacceptable behavior did you observe? So that could be something that they did. Maybe they were rude to a customer. Maybe they were late with the report. Maybe they were, unproductive at the meeting. They were just kind of, like not really there. Or it could be something that they did, right? They were very rude. They spoke when angry. They threw something across the meeting room. So the behavior could be something that they did or did not do. That's basically outside of your expectations of them, especially if it's your subordinate or your co-worker or a project team member. Right, guys, the beauty of this whole series of webinars, this transformational feedback, is you can deliver it in any direction. You can deliver it obviously to your subordinates. You can deliver it to your peers, your co-workers, your project team members, or upstream to your boss or to your wife, yeah, or husband, of course. You're able to do that if you follow these processes. So what did you observe? Yeah, what did you see? What fact and data do you have to kind of back you up if necessary? Be specific about your observations, stating fact, not feeling or gossip or he said that, she said that, they saw this. We're not interested in that, guys. That becomes office politics. We do not want to encourage that. So it needs to be something that you have somehow observed. So for example, you've been late more than 10 minutes on 3 occasions this week. Now, you either observe that yourself, maybe there's a punch-in card or a fingerprint scanner or something like that, that has the evidence that, yes, they did come in late 3 times this week, more than 10 minutes. That is an example of the unacceptable behavior. Now, remember, guys, we're giving feedback to keep the other person aligned with your expectations and or the company's expectations. So in other words, if they're kind of veering away from your expectations, if you don't say anything, nothing will change. So you're giving the feedback because you're helping them to improve and you're helping to bring them back into alignment with you and the team and the organization. Yeah. because we can't just assume that people will always do what you expect them to do. So we often need to communicate that with them. Another example here of the behavior: you did not meet your sales quota this month. All right, you did not achieve your KPI this month. Whatever it is that you have observed in their behavior is what you share at this point here. Cool. Any questions on behavior, guys? No, all good. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, then I think we have time. We're a nice cozy group today, so that would be awesome. Next one is impact. What impact is their behavior, what they are doing or not doing, having on you or the team or the customer? In other words, this behavior, what they're doing or not doing, is having this specific impact. Again, present fact and data to reduce the risk of conflict, or what we like to call excusicitis. Excusicitis, it's kind of like a disease where we come up with all of these excuses why that thing happened. Now, of course, in reality, there are certain events or things that happen, situations that might be outside of our control, which led to that unacceptable behavior and then therefore the impact. But again, if you do your best to produce those facts and data and be specific, then there'll be a much less likelihood of conflict and a less likelihood of kind of denial or trying to, reason out of it. So for example, if we keep the first example with the first example, whenever you are late, remember that was the behavior, whenever you are late, someone else has to cover your position, which means they're diverted from getting on with their own work. That's an example of the impact if someone's coming late. Or when you do not achieve your sales quota, it puts extra kind of stress on the whole team to achieve our KPI, right? So again, that behavior of not achieving their sales quota will impact the team by putting more stress and more demands on the rest of the team to achieve the team KPI. All good, guys? So far, so good? Yep, pretty clear, right? Then now you can express your emotion, right? You still can't throw things around the office, and you definitely cannot hit them, right? We're not in the 1950s anymore. So no, at this point though, you can actually genuinely, authentically express how it makes you feel. Right? At this point, it's okay. Remember, not at the beginning, because they'll just get closed and defensive and they will not hear a word that you're going to say. But at this point, it's actually good, because as you share your feelings at this point, it kind of gives some kind of scale to the behavior and the impact that they're doing or not doing, right? So for example, at this point, you could say, this makes me feel disappointed with you. Or I feel very frustrated with you and concerned that the team won't achieve their bonus, right? Now, this is the feeling from kind of your perspective, and you can even have even more empathy in this bit. And so an example here, if you wanted to, display or empathize even more, you could say something like, I feel concerned that something else might be happening in your life that's affecting this behavior, because this normally doesn't happen. So I'm actually really concerned for you that something else might be going on, right? So this is an opportunity to empathize a little bit more and perhaps open some doors to a deeper conversation, right? And they could literally say 100 different things. Yeah, my wife just lost her job, or my kid's doing really bad at school, or I'm having some relationship challenges at the moment, or whatever it is. At least if they open up and be a little bit more vulnerable, then you have an opportunity to have an adult conversation with them and then try to support them to come up with a strategy in order that they get realigned with your expectations. All right, guys, remember, 98% of all of problems can be prevented or resolved through straight talk and clear communication. Any problem. I'd go as far to say 100%, but I give ourselves a 2% wiggle room because maybe there is some stuff. Yet we've managed to navigate lockdown. We managed to, for the most part, work from home. We've managed to work hybridly, and so they were all things that were outside of our control. Yet we somehow found a way to navigate through them. Yeah. So, any questions here, guys, on feeling? And by the way, if you are like really pissed off, then you can say, you know what, I'm actually really pissed off and annoyed with this behavior, Max. You know, we've spoke about this 3 months ago, and I'm actually concerned that if we have to have this conversation again, I won't have a choice but to write you up on an official warning, right? So that's kind of your sharing your kind of your pissed offedness or your frustration, and letting them know that, yeah, I am concerned that I might have to give you a written warning. And it's kind of like you're playing good cop, bad cop with yourself, playing both roles, right? So if you say something a little bit strong or a little bit direct like that, you know, I'm really annoyed. We might have to give you an official warning, but you know what? We're on the same team. I'm here to support you. Let's figure it out. And then that will bring you to the final F, which is future, right? And this is now the beginning of your coaching conversation. So I can see there's quite a few certified coaches on the call today. I see there's many leaders on the call today. So whether you are a newbie coach or you're an experienced coach, this is the time where you get to put your coach hat back on. So continue the straight talk via a coaching conversation. Support them to commit to future specific actions, right? So the B and the I and the F, that's kind of dealing in the past based on the behavior, the impact, and how it made you feel. Now you're kind of shifting the focus towards the future, right? So the past is already dealt with, all right? And so now you need to keep the focus. You don't want to dwell over here. In theory, you've covered everything you need to cover about the past right here. So now you want to move into the future. You want to move forward. You want to focus on the solution, not on the problem anymore, right? And you're looking here for them to commit. I will do this, a specific action, including by when, okay? And you must ask them what to do. Do not tell them what to do. Who can tell me at this point in the conversation, why do you think it's best not to tell them what to do? Who can give me the answer to that? Why do you think it's important not to tell them what to do? You can either unmute yourself or you can pop it in the chat box. Yeah, commitment, Suneva, exactly. Yeah, what else, guys? Any other thoughts? Yeah, nice one, Adrian. They simply won't take ownership. They won't be committed, and there's no accountability. In fact, if you tell them what to do, there'll be a high probability that they will resist or reject. So not only will they not take ownership and accountability and commitment, they simply won't do it because you told them to, right? And no one really likes being told what to do. We learned that when we were a teenager, right? Can you remember, guys, all those years ago? Did you like being told what to do as a teenager? Those old people, how dare they tell me what to do? What do they know about the world? Right? So think about it. When we're giving feedback, it can be a little bit like that. So just don't tell them. Yes, Aniva, do you have a question or comment?
Yes. What if the subordinate asks for, like, what do you want me to do? What do I need to do to please you? Something like that. What
Very good.
What are you going to do?
I love it. Yeah. And these are the kind of questions that I want, guys, questions based on reality. All right. So let me go through here, Suneva, and your question will be answered. All right. So Remember, so now you're in a coaching conversation. We're going to resist the urge to tell them what to do. Be generous and courageous in sharing additional feedback so that they can take the best actions to change or modify that behavior. This is half of the answer to your question, Suneva. Make sure you share clear expectations of the ideal behavior or performance. Please, guys, this is a big mistake. We give them the feedback, yet remember, the purpose of the feedback is to get them to realign to your expectations. Most frustration and anger is caused because of unexpressed expectations. So at this point here, you must make sure just before you get them to commit to actions, you will need to share with them your clear expectations. All right. So for example, let's say Mary is coming to work late and I'm about to give Mary some feedback. All right. And also guys, remember, what's one of the very, very first things you need to do? We spoke about it last week. It was INSP. It was the P in inspire. What's the very, very first thing you should do to create an environment of psychological safety before you deliver the feedback? Who can remember? Starts with P. Ask permission first. Yeah, ask permission first. Number one, nice one, Suneva. Yep. So how does that sound like? Let me do the full role play, guys, how it would sound. I will role play myself. Mary, do you have a couple of quick minutes for a straight talk? Yes. Awesome, Mary. Great. Come on in. So Mary, thanks for your time. I really appreciate that. And thanks for being open for this direct communication right now. Mary, it's come to my attention that last week you were late to work 3 times, more than 10 minutes on each occasion. And the impact that has, Mary, is that when you are late and you're not at your station, it means that someone else has to cover your role to answer the phone for the customer inquiries. And well, that prevents them from getting on from their own work, and potentially it could cause a problem with our customers. So, Mary, I feel a bit frustrated, Mary, to be honest. You know, we spoke about this about 3 months ago now, and you know, I'm a little bit concerned if there's something else going on in your life that maybe you'd like to share with me. And anyway, Mary, I'm here to support you. You know, we're on the same team, we work together, and just to be really, really clear, Mary, my expectation of you is that you're here at work at 9 o'clock sharp, ready to answer the phone to serve our customers. That's my expectation of you as your direct supervisor. It is the organization's expectation of you. And in fact, Mary, it's written here on your employment contract that you're here at 9 ready to work. Is that clear, Mary? Yes. Great, Mary. So tell me, right, I'm here to support you. What specific actions can you take to ensure that you're here for work, ready to work at 9 o'clock? Well, I could set my alarm 5 minutes earlier. Okay, good, Mary. What else could you do? All right, so let me time out from my role play here. So in the beginning, you're going to do your best to ask this way and that way and that way, and you want to elicit at least 3, right? At least 3 possible specific actions that they can take to improve their performance. Now, it might become a situation where they say, Mailu, I don't know, boss, tell me what to do. And that's where you need to resist the urge, and you for sure need to maintain your emotional intelligence. All right. So you say, and you know that 5 minutes is not going to work, right? You know that as a leader yourself. So, but you know, you're going to play the role here. So action, Luke. Great, Mary. What else could you do to ensure that you're here at work at 5 o'clock in the morning? Sorry, at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, I could make the children's lunches the night before and put them in the fridge. Nice one, Mary. Nice one, Mary. What else could you do? I could put a backup alarm on the other side of the bedroom, so I'm kind of like forced to get up. Very good, Mary. Is there anything else? No, I think that's okay. Now, going back to her first action, guys, you know it's a bit soft. You know it's probably not going to work. So at that point, you would say, Mary, permission to share an observation? Yes. Mary, I'm not sure that setting your alarm only 5 minutes earlier will guarantee that you'll be here at 9 o'clock. What else could you do? Okay, I'll make it 30 minutes beforehand. Oh, 30 minutes beforehand. Great. So, Mary, can you summarize your actions for me, please? Set my alarm 30 minutes earlier, make the kids' lunches beforehand, and put a backup alarm on the other side of the bedroom. Anything else, Mary? No, I think I can do it. Great, Mary. So when are you going to set your alarm? What time would that be? Right. So it's not that you're micromanaging here, guys. You're just doing your best to support them to take action. They are responsible for their behavior. They are responsible for their actions. You cannot do their push-ups for them. They need to be able to do it. So as they're coming up with the actions, you may need to ask permission first and then be a little bit more direct. So coming back to your question, Suneva, there's a 3-step process there. If they've got nothing, right? What can they do, right, to improve their behavior? So step number 1 is you'll ask, and you'll ask this way and you'll ask that way and you'll try that. You might even say something like, well, what do you think I might recommend you to do, right, in terms of taking an action or changing that behavior? Or what would your favorite mentor recommend that you do, or your favorite uncle or mother or father or whoever, right? So that's the first step. You ask in about 5 or 6 different ways. Now, let's imagine they've still got nothing, yeah? Then you say, okay, the next step is you ask a leading question. So in other words, you ask a question that's kind of leading them or giving them a little bit of a clue as to what action they could take. So if we come back to Mary, let's say Mary's like, I don't know. I'm doing my best. It's not fair. And you say, okay, Mary, come on, let's stay with the program here, Mary. I'm here to support you. So Mary, could you set your alarm, a little bit earlier than you have been? Oh, yeah, I could do that. Great. How many minutes earlier would you like to set it? 5. Come on, Mary, that probably won't work. Oh, okay. 20 minutes earlier. Okay. And then you kind of work with her to create that action. And then, okay, anything else you can do, Mary? I don't know. Well, could you, is there some kind of backup that you could use? Some kind of location that you could maybe put your alarm? Right? So you're not telling them directly, but you're kind of giving them a very strong clue as to what a possible action could be, right? And then they'll say, oh yeah, I could put my alarm, a backup alarm on the dresser on the other side of the room, so I have to get up. And then when they say that, that's when you show your positive reinforcement. Mary, I think that could really work. Nice one. What if there was one more thing that you could do, Mary? One more thing. And then, and then you might explore it a little bit. Say, okay, Mary, tell me, what are you doing in the morning that you're spending time on in the morning that's making you late at the moment? What are some of those things that you're doing? Well, I'm making my kids lunch. I'm having a cup of coffee with the husband. I'm doing that. Oh, maybe. And then she says whatever she says. Then you could say, well, is there any of those tasks that maybe you could do, I don't know, the night before? Like, what if there was something that you could do the night before, right? And then, oh yeah, I could make the kids lunch and I could put them in the fridge, all wrapped up, all ready to go. Beautiful. Now, the truth is, guys, and this is back to reality too, Suneva, this is the most important part of the conversation, right? Because now you've expressed yourself, right? You've shared about the unacceptable behavior and the impact that it has. You've let them know your feeling, but right now your focus needs to be on the different behavior, on the new behavior, on the different actions, not the things that they've been doing for the last year or 5 years or 10 years. That's not working. So it's about developing a new action. So it could be that during this conversation, it could be, 10 to 15 minutes, and that's okay, right? It's absolutely okay if that takes a little bit more time so that they can then commit to the actions. So step number 1 there, you ask in this way, this way, this way. Number 2, you ask a leading question, which kind of gives them a clue to a possible action that they could take. And then the third one is sometimes you might have to tell them. But again, what I'd like you to do is you ask permission first. So permission to share one possibility, and they'll be like, yes, please, boss, tell me. And then you can say, what if you did this? Or what if you did that? So by using what we call the what if statement, it creates possibility in the mind of your subordinate or your coachee or whoever you're having this conversation with. It's not exactly a direct command, so they'll be more open to explore it as a possibility because you've said what if. So what if, Mary, you set your alarm for 20 minutes earlier? What if, Mary, you were to put an alarm on the other side of the room? Now, don't rapid fire. Give Mary one at a time and then ask her, what do you think, Mary? Oh, yeah, that could work. Well, tell me more, Mary. How specifically can you make that work? So you let them talk about it and expand on it and kind of create a picture in their mind of actually how they're going to do it. So in that way, there's still a very high likelihood that they're going to take the ownership and responsibility. Does that make sense, guys? And Suneva, does that answer your question? Yeah, more questions. Yes, please.
More. What if we go through this coaching time already, they go back, they take the action, and then still the same behavior coming back. And when I asked, like, so what happened to your action plans? And was like, oh, it doesn't work. I just still more obstacles. So we repeat it over and over again like that.
Well, you repeat it again, and you might need to allocate a little bit more time and to dig a little deeper. Maybe there were genuine obstacles or challenges that popped up that were a little bit outside of the scope of their normal job function, for example. So you need to look, is it a situational kind of thing, like a once or twice thing, or is it a pattern? If it's a pattern of unacceptable behavior or performance, and you try this way and you try that way and you try that way and nothing is working, then the next logical step would be to give them an official warning. Yeah, which I know isn't a fun thing to do, but sometimes people are more motivated by the stick than they are the carrot. Right. So, yeah, you want to try it, give it a shot 2 or 3, even up to 4 times, because think about it. Each time it's actually making you a better leader because you find out what does not work. All right. So it's not wasted time. And you might try being very, very direct. You can say, right, listen, being the nice cop is not working here and you need to be the hardcore cop, then try that. Right. Which I know might not be your natural state of being. And think about it, guys, as a leader, it's our communication strategy is what decides whether this process works or not. And if at the end of the day, if you've really done your best to support them and encourage them and motivate them and have that direct talk and it still doesn't work, then chances are they're not meant to be there. So you follow the law in your country. Here in Thailand, it's 3 written warnings. And then the 4th one, adios muchachos. And you wish them well, right? And because you're not a babysitter, right? You're not their mother or their father. They're there to do a job. And if they're not fulfilling their expectations to complete that job, and you've tried everything to support them, say bye-bye, right? And then find someone who's willing. Best thing you can do is get rid of someone toxic in the workplace, because they'll not only drag you down, they'll be dragging the team down around them as well. Cool, cool. Awesome. Yep, I'm over time. That's expected, I guess. Awesome. So my expectation, you're here ready to work at 9 o'clock. What specific actions can you take to ensure that you're here by 9 o'clock? So try it, guys. I recommend, go through module number 1 and number 2 first. Then you're ready to do this. Open up this by asking permission, right? We mentioned it in module 2, but it actually comes in the very, very beginning of module 3. Permission to have a straight talk. Have you got a few minutes for some direct feedback? I got something on my mind. Is it okay to share openly? Boom. 99% of the time, people say, For that 1%, they say, now's not a good time. You say, when would be a good time? And you lock it in the calendar and you make sure you follow up. Cool, cool. So any other questions, pop them into the chat box. We've got the NLP training coming up, guys, only in about 5 weeks from now. Oh my! So please, if you enjoyed this topic today, you wait till the NLP. There are 30 different leadership and communication modules for you to develop and improve yourself, with a ton of coaching stuff as well, special investments there. Or if you'd like to be a leadership coach and take your team to the next level, then please come and join us for the ICF training in the week after that in mid-July. Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope to see you at next week's session, module number 4 in Transformational Feedback. Same time, same channel. Look forward to seeing you then. Until then, guys, stay awesome and keep on coaching. Ciao, ciao. Thank you.